It's a bird. It's a plane. It's
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome to the Krypton Report. It's Tyler, live from the new Hall of Justice. The Fortress Cave are no more. As anyone knows, we've been recently moving, so this is coming at you a little early, a little off schedule. Trying to get caught up on some things, and my co-host, the man with muscles himself, Mr. James the Immaculate Cole, has sadly been moving as well. We did not plan this, just sometimes life happens. We've moved. So, continuing my series on the people who portrayed Superman and Supergirl, we're going to be talking about the Superman that most people know from the past. A lot of people think this is the first Superman, but it's incorrect. We're going to talk about George Reeves. Now, George starred in a film and TV series. And it's very interesting when you study his history about everything he was a part of in his tragic life. And like I told before on a previous podcast, that I had a picture hanging of Kirk Allen and of George, and my dad, thought, hey, the first Superman. My actual dad, this one over here, Kirk, he was the first. Oh, really? Yeah, pretty crazy. So we're going to take a quick break, hear some words from myself and about Southgate, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. I just want to let you know that Southgate Media Group has its own Patreon. That's right. For $5 a month, you can get exclusive shows, content, and interviews with the different podcasters of the network. This Week in Geek is a Patreon exclusive only series. So check it out. Go www.patreon.com/Southgate Media Group. We are always adding new content. If you want to help out this show and any other show on Southgate Media Group, and you really don't have the extra money to do so, check this out. Go to southgatemediagroup.com. At the top, there's a link to Amazon. Click that, log into your Amazon, shop and buy like normal, and part of the money that you spend comes back to us to help us with our podcasts.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
And we're back, diving into George Reeves. Now, funny is, we have George and Christopher. But let's get into this. George Kiefer Brewer was born January 5th, 1914, and died June 16th, 1959. He's best known for his role as Superman in the 1952 to 58 television program Adventures of Superman. George was born in Iowa, the son of Donald Brewer and Helen Reeves. Helen Lesher. I apologize. I can't read my own writing. Reeves was born 5 months into their marriage, and the couple had separated soon after Reeves' birth. At this time, George and his mother moved from Iowa to her home in Galesburg, Illinois. Now, I will say right now that I am not a George Reeves aficionado. I don't know everything. I just wanted to give a taste of the man who portrayed the great character, Superman. And if anyone out there is a Supernatural fan, much like myself and James, my co-host, the actor Jim Beaver, who portrayed Bobby Singer for the series, is a huge wealth of knowledge about. He's actually technically a George Reeves historian. He wrote a biography and was a technical advisor on the film Hollywoodland, which we'll discuss a little bit later. Hollywoodland depicts the conspiracy or murder or suicide of George and stars a great cast with Ben Affleck portraying Reeves. Later, after his mother remarried Frank Beslow, George became known as Beslow. They then moved to California, where Reeves began acting and singing in high school, continued performing on stage as a student at Pasadena Junior College. And this is why I always say, this is such an important part for any child, like in school, anything that arts are a great place for a child to grow, to learn, to discover things, find out who they are, and I highly support any arts program for children. And many actors don't really get their start until acting in some sort of school production of something. Community theater is amazing as well. A lot of times are the only time kids get exposed to things and have a chance to broaden their eyes, trying to help children. Now, George's career really began in 1939 when he was cast as Stuart Carlton, incorrectly listed in the film's credit as Brent Carlton, one of Scarlett O'Hara's suitors in Gone with the Wind. Funny fact, in front of me right now is a poster that is a mock-up of the Gone with the Wind poster that is really Clark holding Wonder Woman it's Superman holding Wonder Woman in the same pose as Gone with the Wind. It's from the New 2 when they were together. Funny, I know. And funny how these things kind of connect together. Well, at that time, it was a minor role, but he and Fred Crane, both in the film's opening scene. These were both died there. After Gone with the Wind, what's interesting is George received a lead in a play at the Pasadena Playhouse, led him being contracted for Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers is the one that listed him as changing last. Not sure why. I haven't found it why it was Reeves. But what's funny is the fact that though Gone with the Wind was his first film, it was actually his fifth film release because of production and post-production and all that. And the credits do reflect at, as George Reeves in the credits the first time. Now, after that, George bounced from studio to studio, working for Fox, Paramount. And it was in 1953 that Reeves played a minor character in the film From Here to Eternity, and putting George as it appeared in 2 Academy Award-winning films. Now, and From Here to Eternity was the first time I saw George act. My grandfather and my father are both huge fans of that film, the film featuring Ernest Borgnine, Montgomery Clift, Burt Lancaster, Donna Reed, and Frank Sinatra. It's a great cast. Good film. I haven't watched it in years, but it's definitely worth checking out. So in that film, we get a little taste. Now, here we go. Or Superman. Now, this is in 1951. Reeves was offered the role of Superman in a new television series titled The Adventures of Superman. He was initially reluctant to take the role because, like many actors of his time, considered television unimportant. Pretty funny. The film, okay, originally Superman and the Mole Men was intended to the B picture and as pilot, but immediately after completing it, Reeves and the crew production season and shot for 13 weeks in the summer of 1. The series went on air following Reeves was amazed when national celebrity 2. Struggling ABC network purchased the show or broadcast, which gave him great visibility. Now, what's interesting is Kirk Allen was originally offered the role for the film. He turned it. And George got it. The film spawned. The film had Noah Phyllis Cope at Lois. And she would go on to be Lois in the first season and then be replaced later by Noelle Neal. It's crazy to think about the production of the series because the series, they'd wear a lot of the same costumes because they'd be shooting 3 and 4 episodes at the same time. There'd be a day where maybe they shot just in Perry's office, but it was 3 or 4 episodes worth of just Perry's office. They would be shooting multiple episodes at the same time, and they kept the same clothes for continuity, for just keeping everything as tight and as low cost as possible. Also, the Superman cast had restrictive contracts, which prevented them from taking other work that might interfere with their series. Whew, man, can you imagine? Second season was brief. 13 shows shot 2 per week, total of 7 weeks out of it, but all had a 30-day clock, meant that the producers could demand their exclusive service for a new season on 4 weeks' notice. This prevented long-term work on major films, stage plays might or any other series. Reeves, however, earned additional income from personal appearances. He had affection for his fans, took his role that serious. He avoided cigarettes, children could eventually quit smoking, kept his private life. Nevertheless, had a romantic relationship with ex-showgirl, 8 years, his senior, Tony Manning, wife MGM manager Eddie. Now, in the amazing, awesome, highly recommend documentary Look Up in the Sky, The Amazing Story of Superman, Jack Larson, who played Jimmy Olsen, described how when he first met Reeves, he told him that he enjoyed his performance and so proudly we hailed. According to Reeves, said that if Mark Sanders had not died, he would not be there in Monkey. According to Larson, Reeves also said he would feel better about the role if he knew he had an adult and never learned the adventure Superman had a cult fan, even during its death. In the second and first seasons of Superman, Reeves got sporadic acting assignments in a one-shot TV anthology program, 2 features. But by the time the series was airing nationwide, Reeves found himself so associated with Superman, Clark Kent, that it was difficult for him to find other roles. Reeves worked tirelessly, managed to raise money to fight MG, neuromuscular myasthenia. He served as national chairman of the MG Foundation. In the second season, Reed appeared in a short film for the Treasury Department titled Stamp Day for Superman, which he caught the villains and told children why they could destined saving. After 2 seasons, Reeves was dissatisfied with his salary, the show's one-dimensional role. He was 40 years old and wished to quit and move on with his career. Producers looked everywhere else. Excuse me. Reeves established his own production company and completed a TV adventure series called Port Adventure, which shot on location in Hawaii and Mexico. Writing the pilot script himself, however, Superman produced offered him a salary. He returned. He reportedly was making $5,000. That's about $48,000 per week, but only while the show was in production. About 8. As for Port Adventure, he was never able to finance the project, and the show was. In 1957, the producers considered a theatrical film, Superman and the Secret Plane. The script was commissioned. However, in 1959, negotiations for renewal of the series with 20 episodes. By mid-59, contracts were signed, costumes refitted, the new teleplay writers assigned. Noel Neill, who in the second season placed Lois Coates as Lois, Noel being the original Lois from Gallant, was quoted as saying that the cast of Superman was ready to do a new series on the still popular show. Now, Reeves did things to kind of help his. He appeared on the Tony Bennett show thing, and then in 1957, in episode number 165, Lucy and Superman, George Reeves appeared on I Love Lucy. Now that is my first time seeing the George. I was watching I Love Lucy with my grandma and my great grandma, and my grandma had one of those old school big screen TVs. And that is where I first saw it. And I first saw Superman. And it's one of those memories I remember. But the only thing I don't remember was if I saw it before I saw Chris or after. Kind of vague. I want to say after, but, I just can't remember. So Noel and George used to go out and seeing performances and stuff together, and they were wonderful. Now, in 1958, Reeves and Mannix split, and George went on court, then be engaged to another whose name Nor Limit, sorry, had written. And I thought it was funny because of the double L. Now, this is where I'm not going to get into conspiracy here, but it is quoted saying that George, that it was, as people believe it was set up, but what is known as Reeves died of a shot wound to the upstairs bed of his home between the hours of 1:30 a.m. on June 6th. Sad. You know, there's a quote by Noel Neal on that documentary talking about how before they started filming last, George had a kind of renewed, he was going to take over control of and was George. Interesting facts about the series ran for 6 seasons, and in fact, it had George first defended Noel Neal and placed coach. He felt the director had harsh. He also defended Robert Shane, played Inspector Henderson. Shane was accused of being radical, which was in danger. Producer Whitney Ellsworth also. So George really seemed like a stand-up. Clark, you know, one thing I've said is a lot of these older depictions of characters, people are like, oh, that's not really like what Superman is. Well, go back and read your Golden Age comic. His Superman is very, very straight up true blue Golden Age. His Clark is Golden Age Clark. Now, George was somewhat depressed over his identification with the role of Superman because he felt it would have gone more challenging. You're an actor, and everyone thinks you're just Superman, and your face is everywhere. You're not hiding behind a mask. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely my Lois Lane walking Hall of Justice, right? He was cautious in his interaction who were fans of the Avengers Superman because they often tried to test his invulnerability. At one appearance, a young boy came up to Reeves, pulled out a pistol, and pointed at him. The boy had taken the weapon, a Luger that his father had brought home from World War II, to see if Superman really was invulnerable. Reeves convinced the boy to give him the gun by saying that someone else was hurt. Very, very intense. He did TV ads for Kellogg's Frosted Flakes during the tenure of Superman. Very funny to watch. A couple of them on the documentary about how he was having breakfast. Jimmy wasn't allowed to be shown having breakfast. As Clark Kent used to a wall to show the viewer arguing over whether or not the girl could be Superman, but by the end of the argument, they had united over dual font. Because we all know that Frosted brings people together. Although it is circulated that he was depressed and that it inhibited took the part of role model very, even to the extent of quitting. We said that earlier. And I think when you do pick on a role of Superman, it's more than just, I've said that before, because the character means so much to adults and to children that it really is more than just a job. You have to look at who you are as a person, and no matter what, oh, it's just an acting gig. No, you'll be associated with that character for life, and people will always think about you as that and will reflect on that. And you you are carrying that torch. You are carrying that mantle for a while. And as a person, it means a lot that you are honoring the character. Now, an interesting factoid, at 37 years old, he was the joint oldest actor to make his live-action debut as Clark Kent Superman. Kirk Allen was the same age when he made his. He was the oldest actor to play the role of Clark Kent Superman live action, given that he was 44 years old during the filming of the sixth and final. It's really crazy to think he was 37, played Superman. Later, we'll find out how old Gerard Christopher was when he was Superboy, and how young Brandon Routh was when he was Superman. We're always going to remember an amazing. He inspired an entire comic of writers, actors. It's that we don't know really what happened. I do wish thing that I've said before is I hate that DC Universe is not around. Before anyone yells at me, oh, HBO Max. HBO Max does not have everything that DC Universe had. A lot of the specials are not there, as well as the Adventures of Superman and the Superboy TV series. Both of those were great to pop in. I was making my way through on DC Universe because I only own the DVD of the second season of Superman because they're not easy to find. And I just highly recommend anyone to find a way to check it out and see George. If you have the Superman Blu-ray set now, I remember when it has Superman, the extended cut, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, Superman 3, Superman 4, and Superman Returns in it. It also has Superman in the mold. And just find a way, look on YouTube, whatever. Just experience some George. Watch the documentary, Look Up in the Sky. I think that's even on DC's YouTube channel that you can watch. All right, well, this is Tyler signing off here. Remember,
Look up in the sky.
the Krypton Report is part of the Southgate Media Group network of podcasts. If you have an interest, check out Southgate Media Group to see if your podcast is there. I bet it is. At the Southgate Media Group website, you can sign up for our newsletter. You'll get info on all the shows, and you can find what you want. You'll also find links to our sponsors where you can get great products and support the podcast. Also, our book, Pod Life, Podcasting Stories. It's a great book. Check it out. It's nice to hear where people come from and why they do what they do. And remember,